Muted.
All right, thank you. And I know everybody can hear me. All right. So like I said today, my name is Samantha. I am the flood insurance trainer here, and again, I'm accompanied by Theo, who's going to be manning the chat. So today on our webinar, we're going to be going through the April changes, the web portal walkthrough, and we're going to go through a quote online and how they are processed. So there is going to be a lot of information today. We are going to be moving around rather quickly, but at any point in time, if we're going too fast, please let me know and I will slow down. Also, if you have any questions during the session, by all means, please go ahead and chat them in. We'll answer them live as we go along, or we are going to have a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions that you want to hold till then, we can go ahead and answer them at this time. So we are going to go through the April changes first, the web portal walkthrough, and then the quoting process. So right now I'm going to go ahead and get started. The good thing with our April changes is that there was no actual program changes. It was actually all rate changes this year. So almost every policy type is going to be affected by the rate changes. Some of them good, some of them bad, but we're going to go ahead and go through each one. We're going to start with our pre-firms, and then we'll go forward. Okay, so for pre-firm increases, for pre-firm subsidized policies, this is for all flood zones A, all of our A zones, and all of our V zones. Primary residencies are going to have a 5% rate increase with a total increase of 5%. Non-primary residencies are going to have a 24% rate increase with a total increase of 21%. When you see the total increase, that is an approximate amount that will include deductible discounts, CRS discounts. So it's just an approximation of what they see on average. So on average, it's about a 21% rate increase. Okay, and for our pre-firm subsidized policies, the rate increase is going to be roughly about 25% for a total increase of 23%. And for our other pre-firm subsidized policies, such as condominium policies and multifamily policies, the rate increase is going to be about 8%, for a total increase of about 7%. Sorry. A99 zones and AR zones are probably the good news factor in here. This is due to October 1st, 2006. They have become eligible for the PRP or preferred risk policies and the newly mapped policies. So as long as they meet the loss history, they are going to qualify for PRP. So they're going to see a decrease of about 64% for a total decrease of 58%. So if you have a policy that is renewing on or after October 1st, 2016, or if it's a new business policy after October 1st, 2016, and it's in an A99 zone or an AR zone, and they qualify for the loss history for the PRP, they should qualify for either a PRP or newly mapped, so that will save them a lot of money there. For properties in the newly mapped that are going into their second term and are renewing between January 1st of 2017 and December 31st of 2017, they're going to have an average increase of 14% for a total increase of around 11%. And this is done through a multiplier. The multiplier we will go over at the end of this session. For V zones, due to a study that was done regarding the cosigns and how they're eroding faster than they anticipated. So all V zones are going to have a 7% rate increase. Now for post-firm policies, we're going to start with the V zones, and this is involving with the same study. So for coastlines that, because of the eroding that's happening faster than they thought, for post-firms also, they're going to have a 7% rate increase. A zones, which are anything A1 through A30 and an AE zone, will increase about 1% for a total of 1%. The good news is anything in an AO or AH, or if they have a base flood, so AOB or AHB, the premiums are not going to change. And for unnumbered A zones, the rate increase is going to be roughly about 5% for a total increase of about 4%. And any policies in a group insurance policy or MP3 policy or policies receiving tentative rates, provisional rates, there is not going to be any rating changes for those either. The next page we're going to go over a multiplier. So as you can see by the chart, policies that are in their current term are not going to have any changes. So they're basically receiving the PRP rate. And then as they renew is when they're going to get the multiplier and their rates are going to increase. So this year, the multiplier for policies renewing January 1st, 2017 to December 31st of 2017, the multiplier is 1.15. This is what's causing the 14% rate increase. And as they go into their third term, it's going to increase again by a multiplier. However, we do not know what that multiplier will be for 2018. Normally, that information will be released around October 2016 with the October manual, because that is the manual that will be enforced when January comes around. So we will not know what that multiplier is until probably around October, if not a little later, if FEMA does not include it in the October changes. So that concludes the whole rating information regarding the rates for the April 2017 term. Does anybody have any questions regarding that? I'm just going to pause for a few moments and see if anybody has any questions regarding the rates. All right, since we don't have any questions, we're going to go ahead and just continue on with our webinar. Today we're going to go over the actual information that you see as the agency. So once you go to your company website and you log in and you hit products and then flood, this is the page that you will see. Now I am in our test environment, so there are going to be a few things added that you may not have, but I will let you know what you have on your screen and what you don't have. So most of everything that you see here you will have. As we go through, again, if you have any questions about anything, please just let us know. You go ahead and use the chat feature, or we are going to have a Q&A at the end, so if you want to hold until then, that's fine also. I can answer any questions you have live if you go through the chat feature here. Theo will let me know that there's any questions there, and we'll be able to go over that for you. All right, so as I said, after you log into your company website and you hit Products and Flood, this is the view that you're going to see. So we're going to go ahead and start at the top of the page and work our way down to the center. So at the very top, you do see the first thing that you see is that you see the option for flood chat. If you use this feature, this will get you in contact with an associate in our office. That associate will be able to help you with any information that you need, any quoting assistance, endorsements assistance, viewing the policy, any questions you have on a policy. You can go ahead and go through there, and we'll be happy to assist you any way that we can. The next section that you see is the health section. Pull that up again. Let me click on that again. Sorry. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of information under here that you can use as the agent. And these are a lot of little quick tips and quick information that you can use. The first one is the Flood System Training Manual, which is just the manual that can take you through our system and answer the most commonly used areas and information that you may want there. The next section is our guidelines to determining if a data conversion is needed. This is just tips and tricks to get you through the normal websites that we use internally in our office. However, we do have a new feature on our quoting system that will walk you through on how to do a datum conversion, and so that you and your office can do the datum conversion yourself. It does make the datum conversion system a lot simpler if you do it online. And I'm going to go ahead and walk you through that when we do the quote online. So that is just some information regarding data conversions there that may assist you a little bit. The next section is the lowest floor guide. The lowest floor guide, I do highly recommend that you look at that information. This is probably one of the most used sections of the NFIP manual, and it will help you determine the lowest floor that you use for rating. Also in your webinar bar, if you look at your bar, there is a section there. It's called Materials. You do see that there will be 3 materials down there. We did download the lowest floor guide there for you for your record, so you can keep them on your desktop, or if you choose to print them out, it's there. Also under the materials, we provided the April changes handout from FEMA and a handout that we did internally that breaks down the changes a little bit, but you'll have both there. But the lowest floor guide is under the materials there, but it's also under your help section of your web portal. The next section is interpreting elevation certificates. This will break down an elevation certificate for you and let you know what each section is. This is very helpful. I've used it often with helping other agents. So this does break it down to easier, simple terms to let you know what each section is. So that's very helpful. You also have the NFIP program changes, so any changes within the program. This is linked to a FEMA website, so it keeps it up to most up-to-date information that FEMA provides us. Definitions of FEMA flood zone designations. This goes over the flood zones that FEMA has designated for an area, and it will explain to you what each zone is. Common causes of errors and omissions. These are just examples that we have run through and questions that we have run through involving claims. So this is just gives you a walkthrough of how to avoid those situations. So I do recommend that you check that out for errors and omissions with claims and the common causes of them. Endorsement help and grandfathering fact sheet. The endorsement help will actually walk you through on doing an endorsement online, the information needed, and the waiting period. So this basically breaks down the endorsement processing for you. The next one is grandfathering fact sheet. This actually gives you some simple facts regarding the grandfathering process, documentation needed, and how to process them. So that is some very good information regarding grandfathering if you are trying to grandfather a policy. However, anytime if you have any questions regarding any of this, you can always use our flood chat feature online, or you can call us into the office and we'll help you any way that we can. The frequently asked questions goes over coverage and underwriting. So some of the common questions that we receive regarding coverage on a policy, how coverage is done, and our basic underwriting information. So that will answer some commonly asked questions for you. And again, you can always call us or contact us, and we'll help you with any questions regarding that. Now we're going to go ahead and check out the link section. Most of these do link directly to a FEMA website. So it will help you with some information regarding policies and processing. So the first one is the NFIP manual. That is the manual that we use for rating questions by, so rating policies by. That's what you'll find there is our main information and FEMA's main information. The next one is policy forms. This will take you to the FEMA website for the dwelling form, the general property form, and your RCVP form for condominiums. That will take you a link to all of them. There is agent training through FEMA. If you want to take some FEMA courses regarding rating of policies, you can sign up for them there underneath the agent training. FloodSmart.gov. This section of this website, this link will take you to signing up as an agent for FloodSmart.gov. So if someone logs in to FloodSmart.gov, gets some information about their policy and decides to purchase one, this will link them to you with FEMA. So that information there will help you get in contact or have insurers contact you through FEMA and their FloodSmart.gov. Now, I do advise that you also go to FloodSmart.gov itself. FloodSmart.gov just breaks the flood program down into simpler terms. It makes it more easier to understand. I use it very often. It's very good for explaining things with insurers and just breaking down the program into simpler terms. So it's a very good program to use. And there's also a tool on there for, it's called, I believe it's called what flood will cost you. What that does is it gives you an option to choose between a 1,000 square foot house and a 2,000 square foot house, and between 6 inches of water and 12 up to 6 feet of water. And it breaks it down to what is damaged as far as personal content and as far as building coverage of what will damage and the approximate cost for that flood. Last time I checked it out, I checked out a 1,000 square foot home with 6 inches of water, and it was about $18,000, because you don't think of what will be damaged, but it's a good tool to show your insured so they understand what they would cover in the event of a claim and how much that claim approximately cost them. So it's a good tool to use. I do recommend that you check it out. It is FloodSmart.gov. The Flood Mapping Resource Center. The Flood Mapping Resource Center will take you to the FEMA section regarding mapping information, and also direct you to what is called the MSC, or the Map Service Center. The Map Service Center does allow you to access the most recent maps and historical maps, and also letter map amendments or map revisions for your area, or for the area that you're searching. So that information is all on MSC for the FEMA website, and the Flood Mapping Resource Center will take you there. The summary of coverage is the actual summary of coverage that gets sent out with the policies. Then you have the claims handbook, and then there are some states out there that do require you to have training to sell flood insurance. The state requiring flood training, that will get you a link to show you what states that do require that, how to get the classes, and also if you are writing in that state, even though you're in another, it'll tell you that information there. The next section is forms. Forms is a very important section. Anytime that we do a policy in our house and we request additional information from you, you are able to access most of the documents that we ask here. Also here you have your access to your cancellation form, your primary residency form, endorsement forms, and also the new cancel form from FEMA. It's called a CN12 is what we generally call it in the office, but it's the verification of no requirement to maintain flood insurance coverage with the NFIP. This will tell you the flood reasons that are required to have this form on the form, because the insurer does have to select it and sign it, and this does have to accompany the actual cancellation form itself. So any information or forms that we request regarding new business or endorsements, when we request additional information, that form is normally find here. The next section is this excess and private flood. More and more information is coming on this as it becomes available, because they are revamping our private flood, and they're also revamping our excess flood department here. So as more information comes along, you can find information regarding excess and private flood here. The next section is Contact Us, which is all of our contact information, including our overnight and our regular mailing address, which, by the way, is the same address. So you'll see that information there. Also, our technical support number will be there. And then you have here at the bottom, you can see where it says Danny Mitchell. And Danny Mitchell is our agency services person. So if you have any questions regarding agent of record changes or agent of record, your commissions, or making any changes to your agency information, I would recommend contacting Danny Mitchell either by email, or yes, by email, which is listed there, djmitchell@ventecpartners.com, or through the phone line, and Danny will be able to help you with any of that information. Now on the your end, you will not have diagnostics, so you will not see that there. Okay, so here up at the top, anytime that you're anywhere in our system, or even into a quote or policy, if you hit home, it'll take you back to this page. You do not have the accounting screen, as that is for our internal use only, but you do have the quote application screen, which will allow you to pull up a quote through the Resume Existing, which will take you to the quote that you're completing, and you can actually search that by the quote number or the reference number, the address, or the insured's name. As you can see, it'll allow you to search there. It'll allow you to also search by other information. So anytime that you want to search that or pull up a new one, you can pull it there. You can also start a new standard application, a peer-to-peer newly map quote, or an MP3 or a mortgage portfolio protection program application. The other options that you all have is under reference, which is my account. This is just some small basic information regarding your account. If you want to change any of that information, you can change it here on the screen and update. You can even review information regarding your password, such as updating your password information, or the password information that you have now. That will take you through that section. Again, you have a copy of my forms under reference, which again is the underwriting forms or required documentation that we are required to have from FEMA. Will show here. Entity management, this will allow you just to pull up any policy number here, and you can also do this in the right-hand corner. You can also search by last name, or you can search by first name or property address through there. You also NFIP information listings. I did find out recently that you do not have access to all that you will see here. However, you will see the NFIP Community Master List, the NFIP 1316 Property List, the federally leased land listing, a PRP, and eligibility you will not have, community rating system discount, and the residential floodproofing community listing you will have. Most of these you can search by community name or state. I do recommend that you check by state. So this one, we're in the NFIP Community Master, so if we're looking for a participating community or not, you can go in and select the state that you're searching in, and then hit search. Once this information comes up, you can hit Control F to find a particular one. I'm just going to go ahead and look at here what we have. So the first one we're showing is this Alachua County. As you'll see, it shows the community number, the state it's in, the community name, the county it's in, and the status of it. This fund is active and participating. They are in the regular program, which is the main program with FEMA. And then this shows the firm date, which is the flood insurance rate map. And this is the date that the community actually became participating in the regular program. If we scroll down just a little bit, as you can see, Barron County is not a participating community, but they do already have a community number. FEMA went ahead of time and gave all communities in the United States a community number. So a lot of times you'll see the community number there. That will not change if they decide to join. But you can see this one is not participating, so they do not have a status with us. And then the other one that you will see is the emergency program. So these are for counties that really did not follow the rules and regulations of FEMA or update their community information as they went along. So as you can see, this one is in the emergency program. And then you also have ones in the emergency program policies. They do not, they're limited to coverage, and the renewing policies will be limited to coverage. And you can find that information in the NFIP manual, or you can contact our office and we'll explain some more information regarding the emergency program. But once they have not done that and they're taken out of the community, they'll be put into a non-participating community. So you can find a lot of information here for the active communities. And the other one that you will probably use more often is your community rating system discounts. So if the insured calls in and says, hey, I'm supposed to be getting a discount, I don't think my policy is being applied, or the correct one's not being applied. So if we just take a look here at Alachua County again, since it is the first one here, you will see that it gives the state community number, the name of the county, then the effective date of this. This is the date that this information was updated. So 6/20 and then 10. So this is their class action is 6. Their special flood hazard areas in that community are getting a 20% discount, and the non-SFHAs are getting a 10% discount. A good example of one would be here at Baker County. Effective May 1st of 2017, their community rating discount is changing. So this one has not taken into effect. So if the insured was calling in and saying, well, why am I not getting the correct one? And you see this, that it's May 1st, 2017, which is in the future, and they're not getting the correct discount, that is why it probably will not affect them until they actually renew their policy. So you'll have that information there. And then also under the reference section, you do have the zone determination tracking feature. However, you do not have the option to run a flood zone determination here. You would have to run a new quote and request a zone determination to get one here, or if you've actually ran one in the past, you'll be able to search for it down here. However, this section, you will not have the email response time, but you will have the MAP-IT. So let me just show you some information on the MAP-IT. Now I'm just running one for our office address. But if we went in here and we hit MAP-IT, you can get a general idea of where a property may be located. I would not take this as an end-all, say-all regarding flood zone or actually getting a quote with this, because we will still request that you run a zone determination. And if a zone determination is not done on a quote, we'll actually run one in office, because we do have to rate the information with the most recent MAP information according to FEMA and the National Flood Insurance Program. However, the system is not going to let me blow this up any bigger than it is. I don't know how you're seeing it on your end, but on my end, you will see that it does give a flood zone. So it gives me the panel number and then the suffix and then the effective date of that panel. But it also provides me the flood zone and the base flood elevation, which in my case, my flood zone is AE with a base flood elevation of 9. But like I said, do not take this as an end-all, say-all. This is just a general overview and a general overlay map of this area, and it's possible that it could be in a different flood zone because it is not a zone determination. And this also does not take into considerations of letter of map amendments or LOMARs, letter of map revisions that have been done on this. So this does not take that in consideration. And if a LOMA or LOMAR is done, it does not reprint the map and only amends the map with that letter. So this could be inaccurate information that you suggest run a flood zone determination. All right, so let's see. Underneath reference, we have an elevation certificate request. So if you're doing a quote online, and you find out that the insured needs an elevation certificate and they do not have one, or the buyers that they're buying the house from do not have one, the insured can purchase one, and you can assist them by doing that with this. If you go to the request or elevation certificate request section here underneath reference, you will just fill out this information. There is 6 steps to doing it, and what this does do is get you in touch with a surveyor in the area and also shows you the pricing for them doing an elevation certificate. So this is a service that you can offer your insured to get them an elevation certificate. These surveyors in this website are not affiliated with us in any way. These are, this is an independent company, and like I said, they are not affiliated with us. But this is a service that we do like to offer for assisting you and your insured in getting an elevation certificate so we can get the best rated quote for them. Okay. And then news bulletins. This is any information that gets updated in our office, such as like our office closing hours, or if there's new information coming along, they will update this information through here so you can keep in contact with that. And the next section is our policy center. All underneath find policy, endorse policy, cancel, pay a renewal, and report a claim, you're all basically going to pull up the policy information the same way as you can see here. So you can click on policies and look through applications or transfers or rollovers. You can search by the insured name, the policy number, the property address. You just choose how you want to search here, put the information in, and then hit search, and it'll pull up that policy number or application for you. Same thing with doing the endorsements or reporting a claim. Manage policy assignment you do not have on your end, and find existing rollover you will not have. However, you will have agency reports. Now, you will not have all the reports that are showing here, but the main ones that you will see are agency, you'll have the expiring policies, policies in force, primary residence validation. I believe you do not have that one any longer. That was an old report during a certain time, so that's not showing. But any written premium, so you will have a lot of options there for agency reports to pull information regarding your book of business. I cannot click on this and show you how the report will look because on my end I have nothing to report, so it's just going to come up as a blank page. But anytime that you have questions regarding any of your reports, please call our office and we'll try to help you in any way that we can, or get you in contact with Danny who can actually walk you through the reports. And then you also have your claim center. So if you're reporting a claim or reporting a bunch of claims for your book of business, you can do it through this feature. And you can also find any open claims or closed claims, anything doing to claims, anything in your book of business. You do not have manage adjust firm claim assignment. That is an internal thing. But these two you will have for finding a claim and reporting claims. Okay, that was a lot of information all at one time, so I'm just going to pause for a few moments. And if you have any questions, please let us know through the chat feature. If you're liking the quote, can you raise your hands for me to let me know if you're liking the webinar system so far? Thank you so much for letting me know that you guys are watching the webinar. I appreciate it and that you're enjoying it. If this is going too fast, please let me know. Just let me know through the chat feature, and I will go ahead and slow down for you. And we're just going to pause for a few moments in case there's any questions that come through. All right, so we do not have any questions coming through, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed. And I'm going to go down this sidebar here underneath I want to. You will see I want to in every section that you go through in the webinar section. And there is a lot of information there regarding as what you can do onto the quote or to the policy and what information you can do there. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. So as you can see, you can start your new business quote. You do have the map book of business, which this is actually a really cool feature. What you can do is you can click on this, and if I actually had quotes in here and new business in here or underneath system test environment, what this would do is you see these little flags here on the right-hand side of your screen pop up all over this map. and it'll tell you where your basic mapping information is for each location of a book of business that you have. So each policy that you have with us will pop up in here and give you a general overview of what flood zone they're possibly in. I would, again, not take this as an end-all say-all for the correct flood zone, as this is just a generalized view. So if you have an insured neighbor that's looking to get a policy and it shows that they're in a PRP, please start a new quote and run a zone determination. Because even though they're right next door, they could be in a possible flood zone, because it could be just the corner of the house of the neighbor is in an AE and your insured's in a PRP. So that can make thousands of dollars of a difference in premium. So please just make sure that you do run that zone determination to confirm that flood zone. But this just does give you a generalized overview of what flood zone your book of business is in and what areas you may want to concentrate on more in your community or others. It's just a good tool for you. The next section that you have is a quick search. If you click on that, again, you can search by the insured's name, their policy number, property address through here, but you also do have this feature right here in the right-hand corner underneath search, so that will do the same thing. Also, this is a web-based program, so you are able to use your back and forward buttons, and it will not mess up the system. You will not have diagnostics on here, but you do have my account information, which again will take you over to your account information and your password information. You can update all that information here. The next section you have is my commissions. I will not click on this, but this does give you information regarding your commissions. From what I understand, it also does allow you to pull past commission statements and current ones. And you can also get it on the agency dashboard page here. So, which is here is your dashboard. So it just takes you back to the main page here, and it goes over that. You can also pull reports here. So underneath reports, you'll be able to pull the reports that we did show you before. So as your enforced premium, your policies renewing, your policies expiring, policies that have been canceled, so on and so forth. So you can pull reports for there. And then again, here is our contact information. Also, so you know, this takes you back to the same information that you saw underneath help. So it will go under underwriting and forms, and then all the information there. And again, you will not have diagnostics. So going back to our main page, if you look down here, you will see the information in the center of our screen. So this non-residential building use, if it has not gone away on your screen, now it will be in the future, because this is pretty much over with at this point in time. This was created when the non-residential building use came into play with rating policies from FEMA, so this has changed a little bit, so you may not have it on there anymore. However, if you do have any that are pending, you will see the total number of policies pending here. Same thing with saved quotes applications. If you have stopped an application at any point in time or saved a quote or application, it would show up here. So your billed renewals, your expirations, and your open claims, and you can all access those. So if you have any policies under renewal, policies that are going under expiration, and any open claims, you will see the total number here. If you've had any transactions recently processed for you on quotes, such as any renewals, new business, or any endorsements on any policies, you will see the total number here. And then you can click on those and access that information, and same thing with excess policies. Now, I did skip policy transactions. So on any of these in this section, when you click on them, this is how it's going to look when you pull it up. It may look a little different because, like I said, this is a test environment. I do believe there is some additional information here, as long as your effective dates and everything will also show on this. But this is a general overview of how it looks. So as you can see, here's our transaction type. Here's our insured name and the policy number. And if there's anything that's needed, or if this has been pending for anything, a date will show under here under response date, so that you know we're waiting for additional information. We always email you if there is additional information needed. So also check your inbox, and that information should be there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on one of these. Just wait for it to come up. It's going to take a moment. But what we're going to see is a general overview of what a policy looks like when we're looking at it in new business, and so you can see what information that you have. As you can see right here in the top right-hand or left-hand corner, you see that it says our underwriting page. So this is this policy is pending underwriting. This is the status that it's currently in. As it goes through, as you can see, it's the insured's name, the status of it, and the effective date of the policy. Under this, you will not have add pen date or add memo, but you will see that we're waiting for an elevation certificate requires review, because we are waiting for the elevation certificate. As you can see underneath documents here, we do not have it. So if this was your policy and you do have the elevation certificate, photos, and any other underwriting information that we're requesting, here you can click on Upload Documents. You can hit Find Document, find it on your computer, pull it up on the system, and then you would just select what it is. If what you're uploading does not seem to fit here, you can always click on Miscellaneous, and it will pull it over to our system. So once you pull up that document, you click the type of label the document, you can hit Upload, and it will upload automatically to our system, and you'll see it automatically here. So far, this is the information that we have. So up at the top here underneath I want to, you do not have the add pen date or the add memo. If this was an active pending policy, you would have an endorsed policy now. But this is for our internal view, so it says edit policy. You won't have a convert or issue policy or agent producer. But you will have apply for excess coverage if the policies are available for excess coverage. You can return to queue. You will not have the agency download. You do not have view log entry. Oh, yes, you do have view log entries, I'm sorry. And then order elevation certificate. Again, if you need to order one and the insured doesn't have one and they're required to have one. Also, if the insured decides to get an elevation certificate on a pre-firm structure, you can also order it through this feature. But keep in mind, pre-firms are optional rating for an elevation certificate. They're not required. And it's a 50-50 chance one will ever help a pre-firm policy. So any policy that not requiring an elevation certificate, so being built before December 31st of 74 or prior to the community joining the NFIP, it's an optional rating and not a requirement. So as you can see, let's go back to the center of our page here. And as you can see, that this gives us the agency information, the transaction information, the policy type, or policy information regarding the insured, the main insured listed, the mortgage information, brief overview, who makes the payment, the type of policy it is, that information is all there. Then you have your insured information and additional insured information. You have your property information. If there was any prior NFIP policies, that information will be here. You have the section for grandfathering and newly mapped information. You have your property ownership, which you'll see if it's a primary residency or not. And then you have your building information, like if there's an enclosure or no enclosure, what type, is it a single family or not, the date of construction, substantial improvement date, if it's over water, the contents location, all that information will be here. If this was a mobile home, the mobile home information would show here. If you had any basement enclosures or crawl space, that would show under the basement enclosure crawl space information section, or if you have mid-level foyers, that will show under there. You have your garage information, your elevator information, venting information for any crawl spaces, enclosures, garages, or elevators that were reported during quoting will show there. If you had any machinery equipment that you reported, it would show up under here. And any elevation certificate information you have will go under the elevation information. You also have your coverage information, which this section also reports the rates that we use from the NFIP manual to rate the policy, the coverage limits, the deductible options, and then it also breaks down the policy with the community rating discounts, the community or the deductible discounts, your HIFIA surcharges, all those right there are all shown there. And then underneath that, it will show you if the payment was made and how it was made, and if there's any balance due. As you can see here, underneath balance, there is not any. And then you have your mortgage information down here below. And that is your general overview of what a policy would look like, whether it's pending underwriting or if it's an actual policy that's enforced. They will be the same way, just the information would show a little different up at the top. All right, so I know that was a lot of information, again, all at one time. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. We're just going to pause again just for a few moments to make sure any questions don't come. All right, since we are not getting any questions coming through right now, we're just going to go ahead and proceed. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and start our quote. What we are going through is we're going through a fictitious quote online right now. We are using our office address, but the building itself that we are creating is going to be a single-family home with no basement enclosure or crawl space, so it's going to be a standard slab on grade. Straightforward, but we are also going to show you how to do a data conversion here, and then we can go ahead and get this quote started for you so you can see how it goes. So when we go in, I'm just going to go ahead and click New Standard Application. So when you come in, your agency information is automatically going to show up. So the agent's number that you are logged in under is all the information is going to show here. So if you do have multiple agents in your office with multiple agency codes, you will see here that you are signed into the one that you need to be signed in. So the next part is the email address. This is going to be the email address that you want additional documentation to go through. So as you go through, sometimes your zone determination will be sent to you depending how it's set up, or the application, that information will email to you automatically, and it's going to email you to this email address directly. This is also the email address that if we as an underwriter are looking at your policy to issue it, if we need additional documentation, we're going to end up sending it here to this email address. So please make sure that's the email address that you want us to send it to. In the next section, you're going to select your effective date. In my case, it is a loan closing, so I'm going to go ahead and select loan closing. Then it's going to ask me for my loan closing date. I'm going to go ahead and put my loan closing date in. So the next section is asking us for our insured's name. So I'm going to make this policy for Ms. Magic Ball. Under here where it says policy number of other insurance policies, personal, commercial, on the same property. Now, as we all know, this does not affect our policy because it is a government-regulated policy. However, if the insured has any other policies with you for personal or commercial lines, you can go ahead and put that policy number in so that you know it links it to them in case you're looking for other information. But it will link that information for you, and it does not take bearing on the policy. The next part of it is asking for you for as much information for the insured that you do have. So any numbers that you have for the insured, any email addresses that you have, please make sure that you put it here. Because in the event of a claim or if anything happens and we need to get a hold of the insured, we can contact them here through this information. So please make sure this is the most accurate information you have and give us as much information as you have. And the next section is your property address section. So go ahead and put the property address in as you have it. Okay, and just so you know that our system is set with the United States Postal Service website, so USPS.com, and it validates addresses through the USPS.com to ensure that the addresses that we have are deliverable addresses and they're accurate. Now, even though this is our building address, often, like our address has actual several addresses for our building, believe it or not, so that's why it does not come up accurately in the system for USPS. However, if you go to USPS and you just see that it's a different, a little bit formatted different, you can format it correctly here and our system will go ahead and take it. Or if you talk to the insured and they say, yes, definitely this is my address and this is where I do receive my mail, you will see here that you'll be able to go ahead and put that information in, put it in as accurate as you have it, and then hit OK. And it does update our system automatically. Please note that once we hit OK and if we validated the address section is now grayed out and cannot be changed. If you discover later on that you had the wrong information or the insured provided you the wrong address or information was wrong on the elevation certificate and you've got it corrected and now you need to change your property address, you're not going to be able to change the property address. You'll have to delete this quote from the system and start a new quote and then rerun the zone determination and everything. Once this address is in, the address is locked and cannot be changed. You can change the mailing address, but not the property address. So the next section, it says, are you aware of any NFIP policies containing building coverage for this structure for the requested policy period shown on the application? So they want to know that if there is any other policies out there for this property. Now, if they're buying this from an owner and the owner does not want to sign their policy over, that does not count in this situation because they will be canceling the policy effective the date of the closing, which is the date the insured takes over. This insured will take over. So that doesn't count. But if Ms. Ball had an existing policy with us and then she's going for a loan closing for a refinance or something like that, you would not upload a new policy for them. You would actually have to amend the one they have in force. Other than that, it would be considered duplicate coverage, and duplicate policies are not allowed with the NFIP. In my case, there is none, so I'm going to mark no. The next section that you will see is our flood zone and community. If you want to look up information regarding the community, you can look it up here, which will go under the same information as reference, or you can go ahead and run that flood zone determination. I do recommend you running the flood zone determination because it will give us the most recent map information. Okay, it's just going to take a moment, and there it goes. Okay. So as you can see, the information automatically pre-fills when you hit the flood zone determination. It's rare, but often you will see that this may come back as a manual zone determination. There's two main reasons for that. Is either this particular property address has never had a zone determination ran on it, or it's not in a particular area that will automatically hit it with our zone determination company, or that there's been a recent map change. Most of the time, if you get a manual zone determination, it'll take roughly 24 hours, they say, but normally comes back a lot sooner, and they will email the information back to the address you provided us at the email address you provided us at the beginning of the quote. It'll either tell you that additional information is needed, or you can go in and complete your quote. So what the further questions are asking here is, was the property remapped from a VCRX or special flood zone hazard area within the last year? Asking if it's going to be eligible for the newly mapped program or not. In our case, it was not, so the system automatically hit no, and if this is the flood zone, our base flood elevation grandfather. When you run this, it will always say no. Now, if you have information otherwise showing that it is eligible for grandfathering, you can click yes, select the type of grandfathering, and then put in the old information for the mapping information we're going to use for grandfathering, and our system will recognize that. In this case, no, I am not grandfathered. And any questions if you have regarding grandfathering, you can either look under the help section for the grandfathering fact sheet, or if you click here, there's these little question marks that you see all across the page. These little pop-up boxes will give you general information of what's needed for that section or what that question is related to. Now, oftentimes, it will also help you fill out that information as you go along. So anytime that you see a question mark, you can click on these, and it'll explain what that information is. Now, also under here, under current community information, it'll give you the firm date, which the firm date is the date the community joined the National Flood Insurance Program. So in this case, my community, the city of St. Petersburg, joined in 1971. And it gives you the community information. You can click here and view the zone determination. Did I say right? I'm on the left side of the screen. Sorry about that. So I did say right. I do apologize. So this is a really bad formatted view of this. However, this is what we get in our test environment. But there is an actual FEMA zone determination form that actually gets completed on the generalized form. But this does give us all the same information, because you can see that our zone determination will provide us the community number, the map panel and the suffix, the date of the map, the original firm, if there was any letter of map amendments or map revisions for the area, the flood zone, and the base flood elevation, and if there's any COBRAs in the participating community. Now, the thing with the base flood elevation is on the actual standardized flood zone determination form. This is in the comment section. And the only thing added is that after the base flood elevation, it does give it if it's an NAVD or NGVD status. Just so you know, in my community, it is in NAVD. So now we're going to go ahead and go under our mailing address. My mailing address is going to be the same as my property address, and this is going to be my insured's primary residency. However, if the address was different, you could mark no. You can put in your new mailing address information. If it's a foreign address, you can click yes to foreign, and it'll provide you information for the state, province. So it gives you the city, the state, the province. You can select the country and put that country's postal code in, and the system will accept it. I want to go ahead back and hit no because mine is the same. The next section we have is the mortgage additional information. As you can see, it allows you spaces for first, second, additional interest, and disaster agency. If this was a disaster agency, you would have to know the disaster agency name and the case file number. If you had with a third mortgagee that you were listing, or if there was more additional insureds that need to be listed, or if there is an owner that is going to be listed on a tenant taking out a policy, then you can list them under additional insured. In my case, we are going to list the first mortgagee. And I'm going to go ahead and put that information in. And as much information as you can provide us regarding the lender, that would be great. So at any point in time, if you need to contact the lender, or if we need to contact the lender, we'll have this information on file and we can get that information updated for them as soon as possible. So we're going to go ahead and put that in as our first lender. And then there's going to be the renewal billing instructions. Okay, there is also an option here on the Redbird website for the first and second mortgagee, insured, and then other. So you would select which one's going to pay the bill. If you're selecting other, it will allow you to put that person's name in and the address. Now in my case, it would normally be the first mortgagee, but for some reason the test environment doesn't show that, so I'm just going to go ahead and select the insured. All right. So the next section is our construction substantial improvement date. In my case, my house was originally built September 15th of 1965. And yes, I did have substantial improvement. If you did not have substantial improvement and you marked no, you're going to be coming down here and you're going to select the actual most accurate type of the date of construction. Was it from the building permit date, the date of the original construction, the construction of the mobile home park or the mobile home itself, or the date, the permanent placement of a mobile home on a private property. So you select one which is the most accurate to you. But in my case, I do have substantial improvement. Now it's going to ask you what type of substantial improvement it is and about questions about the house. So they want to know if the house was improved but is on a historical building list, because if it does not qualify for substantial improvement because they have to build to the historical building permit information. If it was an addition or extension to the side of the house or the building, and if there was any other substantial improvement. Mine was a substantial improvement because they redid the whole inside and outside of the home, and it did exceed 50% of the market value at the time of the construction. So my new substantial improvement date is going to be June 25th of 1988. Now, since June 25th, 1988 is after the community joined the NFIP and after December 31st of 1974, my home is now going to be considered post-firm. And since I'm in a special flood hazard area and a post-firm building now, I am going to require an elevation certificate for rating. Now, if we did not have substantial improvement and it did keep the effective date of 1965, it would be considered pre-firm because it is built before December 31st of 74. And in our case, also before the community joined the NFIP, then it would be considered pre-firm and an elevation certificate wouldn't be required. But due to the substantial improvement, we are now required to have one. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment now, and I'm just going to pause because that has been a lot of information all at one time. Let me know if you have any questions. Feature, and we'll answer them as we are. We're just going to pause for a few moments in case there's any questions coming through. All right, since we do not have any questions going through, we're going to go ahead and just finish up this quote. We are going to stop before we actually go through the end of the quote again and after the status conversion information, so we're going to go there. So through this section, as you can see, it asks questions regarding COBRAs and OPAs, severe repetitive loss, if there's other buildings on this described location, because keep in mind if there's other buildings on this described location and they're not attached to the home by either a load-bearing wall, three-way walkway, or elevated walkway, then they would have to have their own building, their own policy. So any guest house, shed, detached garages are the only ones that are actually covered under the building coverage. But anything else like a pool house, guest house, detached or garage, not garages. Keep wanting to say garages, and I don't know why. So any sheds, workshops, anything like that, all those would have to have their own policy if they're not attached to the main home. It's asking if it's located on federal land. Most policies are not. They want to know if there's any buildings, the building has any additions or extensions other than a detached garage. And yes, mine does. And yes, I want to include coverage. Now, if you did not want to include coverage for that shed or whatever that's attached to the house as an addition and an extension, you can mark no or the type of coverage that you want it. If it's an addition or extension, it will show it's here, or if it excludes additions and extensions, I'm just going to go ahead and include everything on the policy because mine has that. The next question is your course of construction? My house is not under construction, and it is walled in the roof. The next section is going to ask you for the replacement cost. Now, my replacement cost of my home is $500,000, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And then we're going to go through the property ownership. The purchase, what is the purchase date? So in my case, the loan closing is March 27th of 2017. If this policy has been owned by the insured for years, we need to know the approximate date that they actually purchased the home. This is for rating purposes for FEMA. Okay, so is the policy the owner or a tenant? So a tenant can take out a policy in a home. Generally, it is normally their contents, but a lot of times you'll find in rental situations that part of their rental agreement, the insured does have to take the policy out on the building and pay for it. So if this is a tenant, it is going to ask you to include the owner of the building's name on the policy. So mine is going to be by the owner, in the name of the owner, and it says it's the building of rental property. If this was a rental property, you would mark yes, and then it would answer, answer the questions according to that. In my case, no, this is not going to be a rental property. It is going to be her primary residency. It is the building a condominium form of ownership. So they want to know if the building that you're trying to cover is for in a condominium association. In my case, it is not, but if you did mark yes under occupancy, it'll ask you if it's for the building or for a unit under here, and that will make a difference in coverage. I'm going to go ahead and mark no again because mine is just a single-family home. So in here, it'll ask you for if it's 100% residential, 100% non-residential, or a mixed-use property. Mine will be 100% residential. However, if you did select mixed use, it would ask you for the percentage of the residential purpose. Also keep in mind that if this is the insured's main home and they do have a office in it, that office, their home office contents are not covered under the home contents. They would have to have their own non-residential content-only policy to cover the office. It will not be covered in the event of a claim unless they have their own non-residential content-only policy for those office equipment in the home. Everything else would be covered. So their other personal property, like their couches, their furniture, their clothing, all that stuff would be covered under the household personal property, but not the home office. So I'm going to go back and select 100% residential and hit single family, because my home is a single family. The next question is will the applicant live in the building more than 50% of the year? My answer is yes, because it is the primary residency. This is the primary residency question, and as you can see, there is more question marks that do pop up, several across the page. And this is one of them that will explain to you that this is the primary residency. The next part is a selected value is the best describes the building. So they want to know what the use of the building is. In my case, this is the main house. On your end, you will have more options than what is listed here. This is just the pest environment. So you would select the one that most or best describes the location that the structure that you're trying to insure. So mine is the main house on the building or on the property. Is the building a mobile home or travel trailer? In my case, no. But if you were to mark yes, it would ask you questions regarding the permanent foundation design. And then they would also ask you questions regarding the mobile home itself, such as the links with the model number, serial number, so on and so forth. You're just your typical mobile home information. So I would ask that information there. In my case, it is not a mobile home. It's just a cinder block home, so we're going to go ahead and mark no. The next part is our foundation design. So they want to know what type of foundation do you have. Is it elevated, not elevated, subgrade, crawl space, basement, elevated, minus the crawl space, or if it's a slab on grade. As you can see, if we select one, it gives you a photo that will show you a general overview of what your property may look like. And I'm just looking at some of the options here. So as you can see, it does give you an option of review of what the house should look like approximately. I am a slab on grade construction, so this is how it's going to look. Also, if you look, as you answer these and you select an option, additional questions do come up that will ask you by the foundation design information and how it's designed, so on and so forth. Now, they're going to ask you if you have an attached garage. If you do not have one, you just mark no. You can use it as an attached garage, addition, extension, or a detached garage. Mine is attached to the home. This is approximately what my house looks like. So just want to know if there's 20 linear feet that is finished of wall, paneling, etc. FEMA's basic definition, and this is just a generalized version of it, of a finished construction, is a home that has mudded, taped, and painted, or if there is paneling that's up on the wall. There's a couple other things that would require for finished paneling or a finished wall. In my case, the wall is just mudded and painted, or sorry, mudded and taped. It's not painted, so it's an unfinished wall. You can find more information regarding what a wall requiring or looking like is finished, what that definition is in FEMA. I believe it's on Lowest Floor Guide, page 3. If it's not on 3, it'll be on page 2. I'm sorry, I cannot remember at the time, but I do believe it's on page 3, and they'll take you through that information there. And then it's going to ask you, is the garage used for any other purpose than parking, access, or storage? No, my garage is only used for parking and storage. And they want to know the total square footage. Mine's 466 square feet. I do not have an elevator in my home, but if it did, you can mark yes, and then it would ask you for venting information later on. But I'm going to mark no because I just have a one-story single-family home. Next question is, does the garage have valid flood openings as described above? No, my garage does not have valid flood openings. However, if you did mark yes, it will ask you for the number of openings, the square inches of those openings for the total of all of the openings, and then were they certified engineered openings or not. If it is yes, here we will need the certified engineered flood opening form completed and sent in to us. Or if it's smart vent, flood flaps, or smart vents, then those vents, we need at least the model number for them and a picture of that so that we can see that and then we can get that information off their website. Those 3 companies, Flood Flaps, Smart Vents, and Flood Smart, those 3 companies are certified through an ICCES form with FEMA, and they're really the only certified FEMA-approved flood vents. So the next question is regarding our machinery and equipment. So any machinery and equipment that you have attached to this garage that is reported on the elevation certificate, or they ensure that it says that they have there, such as like hot water heaters, furnaces, heat pumps, air conditioners, washers, dryers, food freezers, air conditioning, or any information that they provide you, you would have to select this information here. Per my surveyor on the elevation certificate, he marked that there is an air conditioner on the outside of the garage. So we're going to go ahead and mark air conditioner and the approximate value to replace it. So mine's going to be about $3,000. And then the building type contents location. Okay, like I said, mine is 1 floor. However, this does describe where the contents location is, and we'll help you determine that, and we'll actually determine it automatically for you based on the information you put here. Mine is a one floor home, and the rest is the personal property household content. Yes, I have only personal content in there. There is no going to be any home office or anything in there, so that's where that is. And now we're going to go ahead and get into our elevation certificate information. I am, again, just going to pause for a few moments here in case any questions going through, because it has been a lot of information at one time. So we're just going to pause just for a few If you have any questions, let us know, and then we'll answer them now, and then we'll get into this elevation certificate information and complete this quote. All right, since we don't have any questions coming through, we're going to go ahead and just proceed, and we're going to go into our elevation certificate information. Let's see here. So the first part here, it says, select the date range that includes the expiration date of the elevation certificate. This section that they are talking about is in the top right-hand corner of your elevation certificate. You'll see a little box, and it has an OMB and then a number and then a date. This is your certificate date. So under here, you're going to select the range that is completed. So mine was completed, is we're going to say from December 31st, 2002 and prior, just because that's the date of my elevation certificate. Now you're just going to select the range that is there. The next question is basically asking you, is the property address that you have put into this quote the thing that's showing on your elevation certificate? And if not, it also gives you opportunity to explain why it's different. But in my case, it does match. I'm going to go ahead and select yes, property address matches. Now just remember, if you do this elevation and you're looking at this and then you realize that you put in the wrong address, or the insurer provided you the wrong address for the quote on the new business for a loan closing, but you're matching it to your elevation certificate and you realize the information is wrong on the quote, you would have to stop here and you would have to delete this quote and then start a new one with the correct address on the elevation certificate form. So in my case, it does match. And then it asks you for the certificate signature date. Okay, this is the date that was completed, that the surveyor completed the elevation certificate. So in my case, it's going to be September 27th of 2002. This was completed. Yes, this is still a valid address or a valid elevation certificate, even though it's dated prior to anything that we have currently. It's still valid. The house hasn't had any construction on it since then. So this is still a valid address or valid elevation certificate. Next question is there a license number or a seal on the elevation certificate? The minimum information that FEMA has that's required on this information is that the surveyor does have to sign and date and provide us either a license number or seal. Some states do require a license and seal. You will know that by the state that you write in, and we'll have that information there. But we do have to have the signature of the surveyor, the date that they signed it, and either that license number and seal. And yes, mine does have all that information there. Another required information is a diagram number from FEMA. Whether it's correct or not, we still have to have one. So even if you had a sovereign grade home and that surveyor put on there that this was a diagram 6, as long as there's a diagram number there, as long as it's just there, it does not have to be correct. We can fix that in the office. Mine does show a 1A, so it is correct. The next one says the current base flood elevation, and as you can see, it is pre-filled in as 9, and you cannot change it here. This is based off the information that was provided under the flood zone information. So if you had grandfathered this property, this would show, this base flood elevation showing up would be the grandfathered information that we're rating with. However, our current information does show that it is a current base flood elevation of 9. So we're going to go ahead and view this information. Now, in my case, my policy cannot be grandfathered. I just don't qualify for grandfathering. So what we're going to do is the next section asks you is the elevation datum used for the BFE. So like I said, if we looked at our zone determination and we saw in the comment section it says NAVD, that's what this is asking you for. What is the information that we're rating with? What's the base flood elevation in that we're rating with? So if we were grandfathering this information and the grandfathered information was based on NGVD and this is the base flood elevation we're using, we would mark it as NGVD. In our case, it is NAVD, so we're going to mark NAVD. Is the elevation datum used for the BFE the same as the elevation datum used on the rating floor? In my case, it is not. My zone determination says NAVD. My elevation certificate or my EC says NGVD. Since my elevation certificate says NGVD and it's not the same, I'm going to go ahead and mark no. As you can see, when you do that, this property, the property latitude and longitude come up. And also if you check under here underneath I want to, you will see that an option for NGVD or NAVD, NGVD comes up. So this is telling us now that you do have to do a datum conversion. And our system is going to walk you through on how doing that. So all you have to do is go under here is NAVD, NGVD, select that option. And what this does is in another window, it'll open up the VRTCON. VRTCON is the FEMA approved and run website for doing datum conversions. This will convert your datum from NGVD to NAVD. If the datums are not converted for coding purposes, this will cause a premium change and can cost thousands of dollars of difference in premium. So we cannot mix datums. They do not work well together. It's like oil and vinegar. They don't work well together. So we're going to have to go ahead and convert this over. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our coding system, and we're going to copy this longitude. And we're going to go ahead and paste this onto the VRTCON. And the next we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this longitude, and we're going to copy and paste that, and we're going to move it over to our longitude. Now, the thing with the longitude, I'm sorry about that. The thing with the longitude is normally when you see it shows it in the negative if you're pulling up on another website. Our website fixes it for you. So as you can see, there's a 0.82. FEMA does require that on the longitude, we have to have 3 digits before the decimal. So on average, there's a negative 8.2 and 0.6, and so on and so forth. So we're removing the negative symbol, putting in the 0, because there is not 3 digits before the decimal. Now, if this was 182.65135, we would have not put in the 0 because the 3rd digit's still there. So we're just going to put in the 0 as the 3rd digit per FEMA's instruction. The next section that this is, or the next question is asking you is enter the orthometric height. This is going to be your figures in section C. FEMA does not allow us just to convert the base flood elevation. You have to convert the figures in section C. So the orthometric height that you're going to enter is the figure that you see on line C2A. If you have an older elevation certificate that does not have the information, please contact our office and we'll walk you through on doing this data conversion online and how to input the information. In my case, I do have a C2A. My C2A is going to be 10.0. And how FEMA requires us to do this is that we do have to put in the measurement that we want it to change to. So since here we use feet, we have to put space FT in here, or the system will do it to a metric. And if you do metric, your figures are going to be incorrect, and it could cost additional premium on the insured. So make sure that you put your figure in on line C2A. As you see it up to the 10th, FEMA does not recognize anything past the 10th, and do it without rounding, because we never round elevation figures. So you're going to put it at 10.0 and then space FT. And then you're going to choose the datum that you're in. So the datum of our 10th foot on our elevation certificate is NGVD, so you would make sure that NGVD is done. If you do have to, for some reason, and it's rarely done, have to convert from NAVD to NGVD, then you would mark this as NAVD since the figures would be on NAVD. However, our elevation figures are NGVD, so we're going to mark NGVD, and then we hit submit. Okay, on this page, this is what our conversion will look like. You'll actually just save this page to your system and then upload it to the policy so we know why you changed the elevation figures. And this will explain it. And we also have to have this on file for reporting purposes in case we get audited by FEMA, because they're going to want to know why we changed it. So as you can see, this is our latitude and our longitude. Here's our height from our elevation certificate with our feet showing. So this was converted over to feet. You do see that our datum shift, it only says that our datum shift is negative 0.860. Even though you do see the negative symbol, that does not mean you are subtracting. Please look at your difference between your height and your actual conversion height. Here it is 10.0, and we did actually have to subtract this, so our new figure is going to be 9.1. Yes, FEMA still does not recognize anything past the decimal, and we do not round. So even though this is more than to the 10th, you're going to subtract that figure and then get this. This is going to be our new height. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the 0.860, and because this is showing that it is subtracted, we are going to go ahead and subtract all this information from Section C. So this figure we're going to subtract from Section C in the elevation certificate. So that information is there. Just be careful and look at this and make sure that this is actually subtracted and not added, because even though this does have a negative symbol here, sometimes it is added to the figure and not subtracted. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say that we save this information to the quote. Actually, I can go ahead and do that for you real quick. So that's all you have to do to save it, and then we're going to hit File Upload. We're going to document. We're going to go to VertCon 2, which we found our document, right? And it's not going to let me save it, so I do apologize. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not, but that's how you would do that. You would save this information through here. And as you can see, because while we were doing other stuff, our system did refresh because it does do that periodically. It did go all the way back, and now you're seeing our zone determination here on the side. If you do your flood zone determination, you can either click View Determination like I showed you, or if you hit refresh the page, so this little page this here, it'll be here. And also so that you know, our system runs best on Google Chrome for torrent. So if you're having any issues with Internet Explorer or things are not coming up how they are, run this through Google Chrome and you may have a better experience with torrent system. Okay, so now as you can see that we have entered this information, we're going to have to start putting in the figures from Section C. So we are going to take the 0.860 and we're going to subtract it from each figure in Section C. So my new lowest floor is 9.1. I do not have a top of the next higher floor or a mid-level foyer. My attached garage is going to be 8.4. My appliances, we don't have any appliances listed. However, our machinery equipment is at 8.6, and it's the AC pad outside. So we don't have any appliances. Our low suggested grade is going to be 8.4. And our finished grade to our house is, so our highest suggested grade, I'm going to have it at 8.7. And then our lowest floor for rating. In this case, since our garage, even though it is below the base flood elevation, it is unfinished and there's no machinery or equipment on the garage floor, we can exempt it. For information, exempting garages in an A zone, they are different in B zones, but if you're looking how to exempt a garage in an A zone, you can look on the lowest floor guide, page 1, and it'll walk you through on how to exempt a garage in an A zone. So in my case, I can exempt my garage, so my lowest floor for rating is going to be the 9.1. The next section is going to allow us to make our coverage limits. As you can see, we can do a building only, building and contents, or contents only. If this was a PRP or a newly mapped policy that you were looking to rate, you would not have the building only option. The only options that you would show is building and contents or contents only, as that is what is allowed for a PRP and a newly mapped. So in my case, we are going to have building and content. Now, as you can see, my building may be replacement cost may be $500,000, but the max you can have through the NFIP is $250,000. Now, Ms. Banks has also decided to have $100,000 in content. However, she can insure this at any limit that they want. So if she only wanted to insure this at $120,000 and the bank was going to allow her, she can insure it at $120,000 with $20,000 in content. This does not come in package limits. This is whatever the insured wants, and she can even underinsure if she wanted to. The only time that there is package limits are PRP and newly mapped. Now, just keep in mind, too, that if she's not insured at 80% of the market value at the time of the loss, that will be the difference for her between actual cash value and the replacement cost value. If she's not insured at 80%, she will only get replacement cost value. So once we're here and we're done, we can go ahead and hit save if we wanted to ask the insured different information or rate it. Please note that you can also find this under save and rate underneath I want to, and also you can use the general map it view. So like I said, do not take the map it as a end-all say-all to the flood zone. Run your zone determination. If the insured you're talking to has all of a sudden decided that they did not want the policy, you can go ahead and just click on waive coverage, have them sign that. That is there to protect you as the agent, and you can just keep that on your record. And then you can have return to quote or upload documents again. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and hit rate. Now there is going to be an error coming up because I did purposely put this information incorrectly because I wanted you to see that there was a section that will say, hey, hold on a minute, you're missing information. So as you can see, I forgot to put in my deductible, and my mortgage information is not in there correctly. So I can click on my mortgage information, and look, I put my big thing where my loan number should be. So I'm going to go ahead and correct that. And then also, I didn't select if it was a mandatory purchase or not. This is a very important question to answer. Now, I am going for a loan closing. My lender is requiring it, so it's a yes. This also helps me ensure that claim time and can possibly help during cancellation. So make sure that this information is here. So now what I can do is if I think I fixed all my problems, I can go ahead and hit rate again. And as you can see, I still have not selected my deductible option. So I can click on the error, and it will take me right down to the error. Now, the thing with the deductibles, too, as you can see, is that they have up to a $10,000 deductible. So the insurer can select the deductible amount. They can also have different limits. It's just your contents coverage cannot be higher than your building, or your deductible cannot be higher. Your contents deductible cannot be higher than your building deductible. So you can have that up to a $10,000 deductible. However, $10,000 deductible, if it's selected, does have to be applied to the building and the contents coverage. They cannot divide that. So that would be $20,000 taking out prior to the claim even being paid. So in my case, the mortgage company will not allow more than the $1,250, and that's all the insured wants anyway, so we're going to go ahead and select that limit. So as you can see, this gives you your general overview of your quote, your flood zone, and your occupancy information, and the coverage limits you requested. And here's the information there. Now, if you needed to change anything on this quote, you could hit modify up at the top underneath I want to, or at the bottom of your screen, you can print this and show it to the insured if you want to talk to them. Or if you decide to take it, you can hit create application, or if they decide not to, you can hit waiver coverage. And also here you can see that it says apply to the excess coverage. You can also import this information into a new quote if you wanted to provide the insured several different quotes, or if you had new information that, like if you had an excess building on there, you could import this information over if they're using the same elevation certificate. Because the surveyor notated it, and you can just modify it by putting in a different modifier for the address. So we're going to go ahead and click create application, and this is going to create our application. Now, as you can see, this is going to be a general overview of the application and what it looks like. And you can select down here to submit and pay, or as you can see, there's more information under I want to. You will have submit and pay online, a print, email, update loan closing. You will not have the email, fax, manage memos, manage documents, or print. You will have the print application documents. But these ones from email to manage you will not have. And then you have your basic information here, like if you need to modify it, you can import it. You have your map it again and your waiver of coverage again. And you can also upload information here if you want to. Now, if the mortgage company is paying this at the closing, you can hit print and mail. And what it will do is it will print this whole entire application for you. And you can provide this to the surveyor or to the mortgage company for closing. They are required to take this for closing per general rules, page 16 of the NFIP manual. This does have all the information that the mortgage company requires, and they are required to take it. That, again, is general rules, page 16 of the NFIP manual under evidence of insurance. Now, our insured has decided to go ahead and make this payment, so we're going to hit submit and pay. The insured can sign it now by using your mouse to sign it. Ooh, I am not doing so well today. There we go. The insured can do that to sign it. They can choose to sign later, or they can pay now. The other option underneath sign now is type your signature. So if you wanted to give the insured your keyboard, they can just go ahead and type in their name, and that would constitute as their signature. And then you can hit accept and sign. Now this is going to actually sign this form over to the primary residency. Now under payment, you would have 3 options. Normally, if you're set up for it, is ACH, credit, and electronic check. But ACH will only show up if your agency is set up for it. If you're doing an electronic check, you'll see this information here, and your basic information that you put in, your checking, the type of checking, your account number, and your check number. If you do not have the check number, you can default it to 123. That is fine. Also, we did find out recently that if this is a foreign address, so if your person is from overseas and that's where their mailing address is for their policy, default this to the property address, as this system here, this part of the system will not accept a foreign address. In my case, we're going to go ahead and do a credit card payment. So I'm going to go ahead and put the insured's information in. Now this information is generally the address used for the building. So whatever their current billing address is what you're going to put in here. Also where it says organization, like if this was going to be paid by their trust, you would put that information there underneath organization. We do accept Visa, Master, Discover, and American Express. So here you just put in the credit card information and then select the expiration date and then just hit pay now. Once you make the payment, as you, oh, see, it was not successful, probably because I put the wrong credit card number in. Oh, I am not sure why this is not taking it. I'm going to try it one more time. Okay, like I said, this is a test environment, so I am not sure why this is not coming up this way. I do apologize for that. However, I can show you this real quick, and we're just going to run a few minutes over. I do apologize for running over by a few minutes. So let me show you what this is going to look like. So once you put this information in, you're going to get some information. It's going to show you that the payment's there, and you can click on it and click on the receipt. It'll also allow you to go to the policy view. If you go to the policy view, this is basically what you would see. So we're back to what we're seeing before for under new business. And actually you can see this does allow you the information here. You can print your zone determination. You can print the application. Here's what your proof of primary residency would look like, and this does get attached to the application form for the insured. So you'll see that that information was signed there as it was typed in. And then you also would get your payment receipt, which looks like this. So this is what the policy would look like once it's completed. So that's how we would do a quote in our system. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we went over today? Because this does end the webinar here with the information. If you have any questions, we're just going to hold on for a few minutes and see how, if there was any questions regarding anything. So if you have any questions regarding the April changes, the webinar web portal walkthrough, or the quoting system. And while we're just waiting to see if some additional questions come in, I do want to thank you for joining us today and joining our webinar. At the end of this webinar, you are on the screen going to get a pop-up for just a brief evaluation of this. Please let us know how we did today. If you have any ideas of how to make this a better webinar, or if you would have any suggestions on how to improve this process, I would greatly appreciate it. Any feedback that you would give us would be appreciated. That way we can always improve and make things better for you as the agent as a view. And again, my name is Samantha. I am the flood insurance trainer, and today I was joined today by Theo. If you have any questions by the webinar, you can contact me at my email address. Theo's going to type in my email address, but it is samantha.mayer@vintechpartners.com. If you have any questions regarding what we went over today, by all means, please let me know, or you can contact our office through the chat feature online, or you can call us in on the phone, and we'll be happy to assist you and answer any questions for you. All right, I'm not showing any questions coming in, so I just again want to say thank you for taking the time for joining us today. I appreciate you letting us give you this information and provide additional information for you. And again, if you have any questions, please let us know. And if by any chance, if you can please complete that questionnaire, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for joining us today, and you have a beautiful day.